Yo, yo. Welcome back to another edition of the Cruising Podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Cruz. And like I said today, it's going to be 3 days of straight up podcast gizzled. But first, I want to tell you guys where to find the Cruising Podcast, which is on Apple Podcasts, also on YouTube, also on Twitch, where you can find all your podcast needs for the Cruising Podcast. Also, where you can find myself, Andrew Cruz, is at Cruising Podcast on Instagram, and also Nice Town Finest on Twitter. All right, I only got a couple minutes. Well, I really just want to review the Crisis on Infinite Earths. Pretty much DC Television's, I guess, answer to the Avengers Endgame or Avengers period. And right now, so far, it's been fantastic. As much as I'm a DC fan and I've been an Avengers fan for like a very long, for the 10-year stretch that we had and the 22 films that we had. Crisis on Infinite Earths, in my opinion, is on par with Avengers Endgame. Yes, I said it. I said that shit and I fucking mean it. Avengers Endgame was amazing. It was a great film. It was a great culmination of, the story arcs of Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, everybody that we've seen over the past 10 years, Black Widow, Hulk, or that whole entire cast of people. Hold on. It was a fantastic send-off for Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man. But Crisis on Infinite Earths is supposed to be really our last little, how would I say it? It's our last ride through Arrow. As everybody knows, Arrow is ending this season. Really, they only got 10 episodes this year. And one of the episodes, of course, is Crisis on Infinite Earths. And what we know so far, what we have so far, oh yeah, by the way, it's going to be a few spoilers about Crisis. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes to make sure you guys understand that Crisis on Infinite Earths is going to be talked about. All 3 episodes that have been shown so far will be talked about in 3, 2, 1. All right, so as everybody know, Arrow clearly made a deal with Monitor, pretty much sacrificing his life for Flash and also Supergirl. We all have that, if you have seen it, if you've seen Elseworlds, you would know this is where we were headed, and especially during Crisis. And we didn't really get to see the Flash too much. We did get a lot of Oliver in the first episode, especially him, his daughter Mia. They didn't have his son, which is weird. They didn't really have. Also, what was weird is that they didn't have Dingle. Like normally, if Oliver's going to fight, normally Dingle is right by his side, and this time Dingle wasn't by his side. And we do get to see, we see, which is weird. This is weird to me, but Arrow dies in the first episode, protecting billions of people. Worlds are getting swallowed up by the Anti-Monitor, very original name. And but we see him really protect billions of people from these little demon ghost things that are coming out from the Anti-Monitor. And apparently that's how he dies, which is weird and crazy. And it felt like if this is supposed to be the culmination of him in the show, the fuck is he dying in the first episode for? And why is Dingle not with him? That was the one thing that kind of confused me, because I felt like Dingle should have been with him step by step. We all know that that's his bodyguard. That's the guy that's that's just his sidekick. Everything. It just didn't make sense that he died within the first episode. Another thing, we had a couple of fantastic cameos. We had Burt Ward. We had Burt Ward, who was the 1960s Robin. Of course, he says, one of his catchphrases from, the 1960s show, and he's walking a dog, gained a few pounds. But I gained a few pounds too. But Burt Ward did say one of his catchphrases because if you never watched the 1960s Batman, Robin always had some holy Batmite or some crazy, something crazy 60s catchphrase type deal. And that was really what he did. That was his cameo. Also, we had Perry White. I'm trying to remember which Perry White he was, because I know he was Perry White. I just can't remember who he was. He was the one reading the newspaper, and then all of a sudden he sees the sky turning red. We also get Kevin Conroy. If you don't know who Kevin Conroy is the voice of Batman from the original animated series that probably most people, if you were born in the 90s, or even if you were, alive during the early 2000s, or, I would say late 90s, early 2000s, he was the voice of Batman the animated series. This is the first time he actually got to play Batman in a live action sequence. And his storyline, that Batman storyline, was weird. So what they were doing was that they were trying to find Paragons, and Paragons to, fight off the Anti-Monitor. We already knew of 3 of them. And the 4th one apparently was described to the team right now, which was Batwoman, Supergirl, Flash, Arrow, everybody. They were told that they needed to go find a Paragon on an Earth, on a random Earth, that Batman, that a guy that wears a bat suit, or a bat, not even a guy. What he pretty much said was that a bat that turns into a hero. Now, Kevin Conroy's cameo was very telling, because we thought that he was going to be the Paragon. It would have made sense. He's a bat, and he's been a hero. Well, this iteration of Batman is kind of like a serial killer. Like, it was weird. His Batman was a serial killer. He had trophies of Joker, Riddler, all the rogues gallery. He had some type of trophy after killing them, apparently. And then also he had one of probably the biggest trophy. He had a glasses of Clark Kent that looks like it was shot through. It had like a little bullet hole through the glasses. And apparently he killed Superman. But before he killed Superman crippled him pretty much. That's why he was wearing a kind of a suit he's wearing like a robotic suit. He also tried to kill Kara, who is Supergirl right now. And Kate had to kill him. Kate Kane, his cousin, had to pretty much stop him from killing Supergirl, but she killed him, whatever. But then we find out from the Monitor that she, through that mission, became that paragon of a bat that turns into a hero. Boom. My bad. Kate Kane is Batwoman. Just in case you guys don't know, Batwoman has a TV show on CW. The last cameo that I want to talk about that really is close and near dear to my heart, and I was talking about it forever, was the Tom Welling cameo. Tom Welling, if you don't know, was Clark Kent on Smallville, and also, how can I explain it? He never really donned the Superman logo, anything Superman. Really, he was just Clark Kent. The last episode, literally the last thing we see from him when he was Clark Kent was him flying. And that's the first time he ever flew in the show at all. Ever since the first episode, actually. You see him kind of floating above his bed the first episode, and then that's the last time we actually see him fly. And to me, and this is my only problem with this, the CW dropped the ball on this one. How the fuck don't you play the theme song to Smallville when he is shown? It pissed me off in the worst ways possible. Apparently, he got rid of his powers. It was a nice send off for him, but wasn't, he punched, I guess this iteration of Lex Luthor in the face, who was John Cryer from 2.5 Men. It's, I like just to try to contain my anger for them not using the song. Like, I was just waiting. Somebody save me. That never got shown. Never got used. You used it. Actually, you used that on Elseworlds for the shitty Superman that they have now. I don't like the Superman. I don't know why. Something wrong with, I don't know. I think he's a terrible Superman. I think once again, here's the Superman's in order. It's Henry Cavill, Christopher Reeves, Tom Welling. Well, if you count Tom Welling, I can't really count him as a Superman. I just count him as Clark Kent. He's his own fucking person. So, but Christopher Reeves, Henry Cavill, Christopher Reeves, probably Brendan. If Brendan Roth is better than you, that's a problem. Who also is playing Kingdom Come Superman. Listen, right now, the last episode that we've had is that, pretty much all the Earths have been swallowed. Really, every galaxy has been swallowed up. Every universe has been swallowed up by the antimatter, aka the Anti-Monitor. Really, the mission of the Anti-Monitor, just in case, is that he's trying to destroy all the infinite universes, even though it's kind of weird that it's infinite and it's still, there's an actual number, which is, I don't ask questions, I just give answers. So so apparently he was able to destroy all the universes, and what he's trying to do is create a universe in his image. What does it sound like? You know what it sounds like. Come on, we religious. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Come on. So, so he's trying to make all the universes in his image, and he's succeeded so far. So that's where we're at. Also, he takes over the body of Harbinger, aka Lila. If you haven't watched the show, that's Dingle's wife, who is Harbinger. Now we need to figure out what's going on with her. Why, pretty much where we're at with her. So for the longest time, we thought the Flash that we know, the Barry Allen that we know from the current Earth 1 Flash, was supposed to be the one to die during the crisis. But a little bit of wordplay from the Monitor, we figure out that all he said was Flash dies in the crisis, not Flash that we know. All we know is that Flash dies in the crisis. Didn't say which Flash though. And as everybody know, back in the day, back in the 90s, old school WB had a Flash show. There used to be a show of the Flash, who was played by John Wesley Shipp, who is Earth 90s Flash. That's literally what he is Earth 90s Flash, which makes sense because his show was made in 1990. Okay, cool. Apparently, he was captured by the Anti-Monitor. And he actually is the one powering up a machine, the antimatter cannon, that's killing off all the Earths right now. Why am I keep saying all the Earths? All the universes. So far right now, what we knew here was that Earth 90 Flash was firing up the Anti-Monitor, the antimatter cannon, and somehow Vibe, aka Cisco Romero, got his powers back from Monitor because he took the antimatter what is it, the antimatter serum or antimatter cure. He took the antimatter cure. So I know, so this is a lot of storyline going on right now. So all in all, what we know is Earth 90s Flash, aka 90s Flash, was the one to die during the crisis, and the Flash that we know, the Barry Allen that we know, is the one that did not die during the crisis because he read a fucking futuristic newspaper with his name on it. Look, man, this shit's confusing. I understand. If you can follow the storylines, if you watch all the shows, you will understand. So, but lastly, when I said Oliver died, he died, but they put him in the Lazarus pit. And if you the way the Lazarus pit work is that it brings you back alive, but it doesn't bring you back with your soul. And we actually get a very nice cameo from Lucifer. Lucifer which is weird because Lucifer was a Fox property that is now a Netflix property, and somehow he's a part of the CW. He can be part of the CW universe. And then we also get Black Lightning, who apparently is on a different Earth where he loses literally his whole entire family. I thought it was a pretty good cameo. Not even a cameo. It was a great introduction of him. He ends up fighting everybody off, and then he is actually the one saving billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of lives because he was taking in whatever electricity was coming from the antimatter cannon, and he was literally trying to suck in all of the not suck in. How can I absorb all the electricity that was coming from the antimatter cannon? I thought it was pretty sweet. I think they made the black superhero pretty much saving all galaxies, which is, hey, once again, pretty cool, to see a brother doing what he's doing. But completely blanked where I was at. Oh, so we get a cameo from Lucifer. As we know, Constantine now doesn't smoke cigarettes. This Constantine, I'm not a fan of this Constantine myself. Yeah, I'm not. If you guys know, quite a few CW characters I did not like. I do not like right now. But Constantine was played by Keanu Reeves, just in case everybody understands. John Constantine was Keanu Reeves' character, a movie that never got a sequel for some fucking reason. But this Constantine has to go to purgatory to go try to save Oliver's soul, try to bring Oliver's soul back to his body. And the last part that we see of them being inside purgatory is him, Mia, and Dingle. The last part we see of him, of Oliver, is he just got recruited by the Spectre because he has a job to do for the universe. That's what I guess the Anti-Monitor told him, that he has a job to do. Told the Spectre to tell Oliver that he has a job to do. And as we all know, Oliver's probably going to show up probably the last probably next episode, because it's supposed to be the 9th episode of Arrow. So hopefully we find out a little bit more about what Oliver's job is going to be for the rest of this crisis, man. I mean, once again, he already saved billions of lives. So that's where we're at. Okay, so lastly, we did get a small cameo. Like, let me tell you, not even five, like a split second look at the Titans on the first episode of Crisis. We got to see the Titans for like literally a split second. We saw Jason Todd and Hawk. And by the way, Hawk is Alan Rickman, who is Thad Castle, who was Arthur Curry from Aquaman. He was the original on-screen Aquaman. He actually played in the Justice League episode of Smallville with Tom Welling. So they brought back quite a few old school characters from back in the day. Also, I forgot. I think it was the second episode or the third episode. We do get another cameo of Birds of Prey. Old, if you don't know what Birds of Prey was, it was the show that was supposed to be centered around Batman and Selena Kyle's daughter. So just putting it out there. It's a lot going on in Crisis. And tell you the truth, like the action, the fighting, the storyline so far is fantastic. I think I'm not doing it the greatest of justice, but the on-screen chemistry literally of everyone, Batwoman and Supergirl so far, also Flash with everyone else, like this has been really good. Okay, I'm a very big fan of the CW shows, and they did a fantastic job with coming out with bringing all these characters together. I think this is going to be told around the same time frame of Avengers Endgame, like the same like time span. So we're going to see which could DC really pull off like a really big project like this, because they already fucked up Justice League. And right now, these first 3 episodes have been way better than what Justice League could have ever been. So we'll see, man. I hope, I really do hope that we get to have a better ending to this than Elseworlds. I thought Elseworlds is kind of lacking. So hopefully Crisis with the last 2 episodes do a very good job and does all this, actually this very huge, very amazing comic book series, if you haven't read it either, does it justice. That's all I ask. No pun intended with the Justice League. So with that, that is the show. I know I gave a little bit too much information. My bad. But I thought you guys need to know that Crisis on Infinite Earths has been fan-fucking-tastic. I've been a very big fan of this. Hopefully you guys go out and try to go watch it yourselves. Or if you haven't, I mean, if you have already, hopefully you enjoyed the podcast. But tomorrow, talking sports. Was Shaq and Charles right about Joel Embiid? You'll hear it here. Also, programming notes. I will have a show tomorrow. It's going to be about sports, like I already said. So I'm going to continue to post questions on my Instagram. Just weird questions that just come from right here. So hopefully you guys come and just answer questions, and hopefully you guys enjoy some of the questions, and hopefully we can start a discussion, a little bit of discussion. And also, just in case you guys need to find me or find the podcast, it is on Apple iTunes, Apple Podcasts, on YouTube, on Twitch, also on pretty much anywhere you can get your podcast needs right now. I just figuring out all this. So also on Spotify Cruising Podcast is on Spotify. If you need to find me, Andrew Cruz, is at Cruising Podcast on Instagram. Also on Twitter, which is Nicetown Finest. I know I like to repeat myself just in case you need to find your boy. Ask me some questions. Say what's up. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you come into the live chat, just say what's up, man. I'm here. I got you. So with that, thank you so much for listening to the Cruising Podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Cruz. Hope don't do anything I wouldn't do. And I'll catch you guys tomorrow for sports, homie. Deuces.